Zabava listeners, we have been talking for several weeks, if not a couple of months now, about a very special event that is going to be taking place at Rogers Place on March the 10th. The Kule Folklore Centre at the University of Alberta, in partnership with the Hockey Alberta Foundation, proudly presents the Canadian premiere of the acclaimed documentary Uk, the untold story of hockey legends by Ukrainian Emmy Award-winning filmmaker Volodymyr Mula. The event will take place on March 10th at the Ford Hall at Rogers Place and promises a captivating evening celebrating the rich intersection of Ukrainian heritage and the history of hockey. And our very special guest that we have in the studio this evening for all of you to enjoy the good things that she has to relay to all of you about this event is the director of the Kule Folklore Centre, Larisa Sembaliuk Cheladyn. Larisa, welcome back to the Zabava program. You're getting to be a veteran here, and I know my listeners are looking forward to finding out more about this documentary profiling Ukrainian hockey players who have played in the NHL. So welcome back, and please tell us, how did the Kule Folklore Centre become involved in the Canadian premiere?
Hi, Stephen. It's great to be back on air with you. The whole idea came about from one of our graduate students. It was Dmytro Yosipenko's idea. Last year, his parents came to visit Edmonton from Kiev, and Dmytro had access to the Ukrainian version of Yuk. In Ukraine, it's called Yuki. And he found it was an excellent way to introduce visitors to Canada and show them some of the Ukrainian Canadian traditions, something that many of your listeners know that it's been kind of ingrained in us, especially if we have pioneer ancestry. Hockey is definitely one of the activities that have dominated the lives of Ukrainian Canadians for nearly a century. Since the first hockey players were recruited for the NHL from across the prairies. That's where it started, a little seed, Dmytro saying, hey, let's have a little film night. And those of you who know me, my dad's the one who built the Pesinka in Vegreville. He designed it. And so I have in my DNA, well, if you're going to do it, go big. So we decided to approach Rogers Place to see if it was available because why not screen a movie about hockey in Rogers Place? And so
Absolutely.
that was the beginning of the seed, and it's growing from there.
Okay, thank you for that, Larissa. Now, many people know that Kelly Hrudey, from his time with the New York Islanders, the Los Angeles Kings, the San Jose Sharks from 1983 to 1998, and now a broadcaster with the NHL. We see him at all the games. I've seen him at the Oilers games. How did he become involved in this project?
Kule Hrudey is actually featured in the movie. He's one of the many, over 50 hockey players of Ukrainian heritage who have played in the Stanley Cup. That is the essence of the movie. And so Volodymyr, when he came to Canada several years ago to start his interviews, he spoke to Kelly. Also, one of the people that is very close to the Kule Folklore Centre, Dr. Mark Minenko, had done the Hrudey family background.
Mm.
And so when we started to talk about this project, he said, well, Rudy's an excellent person to call as an MC. He's got all this broadcast experience,
Yes.
Ukrainian background. He's in the movie. And just a little side story is that we wrote him a letter, snail mail letter, back a year ago, inviting him to do this, but
Mhm.
didn't hear back from him until September because he thought it was fan mail.
Good
and
on
and
Kelly.
so email would have been better, but still he jumped on it. And if anybody watched the Oiler game on January 13th, the
Yes.
Ukrainian night, Kelly was very proud of the Ukrainian heritage. Gene Principe interviewed him, and you knew that he grew up on Varaniki, Perehe, Holopsi, and was an awesome player. So yeah,
Yes,
that's how he came
absolutely.
to be part of this team.
Perfect, Larissa. Now, tell us a little bit about the documentary and what will people learn about these famous Ukrainian hockey stars?
First of all, you'll learn that there are many of them that come from Ukrainian heritage from across Canada, and that they are very proud of their heritage. And there's quite a few that individuals that shared with them their background, where they came from, their roots in
Mhm.
Ukraine, what selo they were from. We were very fortunate, and Volodymyr was very fortunate to interview Mr. Gretzky,
Wow.
Wayne's dad. and he shares some of his pride and his heritage. Again, Kelly Hrudi talks about his pride. There's the Babbage brothers, or you'll learn a little bit about them.
Hmm.
Names that we all know. It come out through this. The focus of the movie is the ones that have had the experience of playing in a Stanley Cup playoff. It just juices you. That's what
Yeah.
I think the big thing I found about this was juicing it, the juice, and also it made me reminisce about my dad. Whenever
Yeah.
he watched hockey on TV, you knew who was on the screen because he'd start yelling, Vinash, Vinash,
Yeah.
he's one of ours. The,
Yeah.
the, the, the connection to your heritage, to where you grew up, comes through in the movie.
Well, you know what, Larissa, when you mention your father, I can remember those days on the old black and white TV, and I know I'm aging myself now, but I can remember on Saturdays at about 6 p.m., you'd hear that theme song. It's no longer on the NHL airwaves, but it would come on, and my dad would be glued to that screen. And the only teams then that we could watch when I was a little boy, you had Toronto and Montreal, and
Yeah.
that's who you watch. Vancouver didn't exist, Calgary, Edmonton, they were just a thought into the future and that. But I remember like the names that I read here, especially Taras Sachuk. He was an absolutely phenomenal goaltender, and if I remember correctly, he was playing during those days when goalies didn't even have a mask on, which is scary.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it's a scary
Yeah.
thing. And he was that type of goaltender that if your team was playing poorly, he could stand on his head and stop any shot that was coming, and he'd win the game by himself. He was
Yep.
unbelievable.
Yep.
So I think this production, this event, I think it's fabulous in my opinion, and I think it pays tribute to a lot of our Ukrainian people. And the fact that you're going to trace these family names back to Ukraine, right to the Selos, I think it's inspirational. Good on the Kule Folklore Centre, and as well for Hockey Alberta Foundation. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, one of the things working with the Hockey Alberta Foundation is just making you think about how playing any sport, but in this case, we're
Hmm.
focusing on hockey, how it's a team building
Yes.
thing. It gives people self-confidence. And when I think not to players who made it to the NHL playoffs,
Hmm.
Stanley Cup playoffs, but who knew that the former mayor of Vegreville, Larry Ruptash, was invited to a New York Rangers training camp?
Wow.
Or the founder of the Canadian Institute of Ukrainian Studies, Dr. Manoli Lupo, was once the defensive coach for the Wellington Monarchs.
Yeah, there
And,
you go.
those experiences playing with a team give you leadership background and skills. It kind of goes hand in hand, the
Yeah.
heritage and the opportunities that you get.
Larissa, tell us, how can people get tickets for Uke, the Untold Story of Hockey Legends, the Canadian premiere taking place on March 10th at Rogers Place in Edmonton?
The easiest way to get tickets to the premiere of Uke is to go to the Kule Folklore Centre website. As soon as you click on it, the banner will be right there. Click on the banner and it'll take you to the background and the buy tickets. So the website is ukrfolk.ca,
Okay.
ukrfolk.ca.
Okay, and Larissa, I promised you that I wasn't going to put you on the spot, but my wife knows that I tend to lie quite often, and it's usually in a humorous, a comedy type way, and that. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. I've been telling folks that there's this VIP seating for 150, and there's going to be nice little perks in that. Are you at liberty to say what some of those perks are?
Well, we can say that you'll get a chance to meet any of the celebrities that are there.
Okay.
Um, the night is actually hosted by Kelly Hrudi and friends. He's open to bring any of his hockey friends that he wants. And we're not at this time able to say exactly who's going to be there, but you will meet Kelly. You'll also meet the director, Volodymyr Mula. There will be some swag. Any ticket includes Perahan Kubi plate.
Okay.
We all like to eat, so we didn't say you had to be VIP. But the VIP tickets will definitely get you in an hour early to meet any of the celebrities that are there.
Okay, and as long as I know that our good friend who works hard for the Cool Folklore Center, Jason Golanowski, was making that bit of hair, I'm coming then. So,
Okay, I'll get them working faster,
all
pinching
right.
faster.
And I know all the lights just lit up in Murnum. Whenever I mention Jason's name, Murnum is just it just glows at nighttime on Sunday evening. So, Larissa, I want to thank you very, very much for coming to speak to all of the listeners. And from me personally, I just want to say thank you to you and the entire team at the Kule Folklore Centre for being a very proud sponsor of the Zabava program for so many years. And I know we've got other things that are going to be in the works that we'll have on the program for all the listeners. So thank you very much and best wishes and good luck on the event on March 10th.
Stephen, дякую. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.